Selection 3, Yang the Second and Her Secret Admirers, by Lenzi Namioka. Illustrated by Case DeKeefta.
As the oldest daughter in her family, second sister clings to her Chinese heritage and refuses to make any friends. But her younger brother and sister have a plan, which they have practiced at the home of their friend, Kim O'Meara. What if second sister overhears them saying that Paul Eng, her classmate, likes her? And what if Paul overhears them saying that second sister likes him? Who knows what might happen next?
By the next day, I was beginning to have second thoughts about our plot. It could turn out to be really embarrassing for second sister. She looked so unhappy sometimes that I thought it might be mean to play a trick on her. Once, second sister, third sister, and I were at a shopping mall, and we went into a restaurant for refreshments. Third sister saw some of her friends there, and she went over to their table. Soon we heard them talking and laughing. Second sister sat with her head down, sipping her drink, and she suddenly looked very forlorn. In China, she had lots of friends, and she would be sitting with them, talking and laughing. She could have made friends here, too, but she preferred to stay home like a grouch. But second sister isn't always a grouch, and I remembered the times when she was kind to me. Like the days when my family still wanted me to play the violin, for instance. Father, mother, and eldest brother had all thought that I played so badly because I wasn't trying hard enough. Second sister wasn't like the rest of them. She thought that I had it in me to be a good musician, but that I gave up playing so that my friend Matthew could play in our family string quartet. We all knew that Matthew had real musical talent. Second sister thought I was being noble and letting Matthew take my place because of our friendship. It was just the kind of thing she would do for her own friends. She simply refused to believe that a member of the Yang family would have a terrible ear. It wasn't in our genes. I wanted to get third sister alone and discuss whether we should go on with our trick, but I didn't get a chance. Third sister came home just before dinner, and we all sat down around the dinner table. Mother had cooked my favorite dish, pork stewed with yellow turnips. Normally I eat so much of this dish that I get scolded for hogging it. Can you hog a dish of pork? But I was too busy with my thoughts to eat much. I jumped when Mother said, "What's the matter, Ying Tao? Aren't you feeling well? You aren't eating your favorite." "I'm fine," I muttered. Hurriedly, I took a big helping. Eldest brother began to ask second sister about the demonstration she had given that day in school. Her class was studying different types of entertainment in countries all over the world, and she had offered to talk about Chinese opera. To demonstrate background music in opera, second sister brought in an erhu, a kind of Chinese violin with 2 strings, and played it to her class. She usually played a viola, but she jumped at this chance to show how a traditional Chinese instrument sounded. Father beamed. "I'm glad you did it. We concentrate so hard on playing Western music that sometimes we forget there is a long tradition of music in China." "Did the class enjoy your demonstration?" asked eldest brother. "A few of the kids made faces when I hit the high notes on the erhu," said second sister. "But most were very interested. Afterward, some of them came up and wanted to try it." Then she frowned. "You know that boy, Paul Eng? He told me he had never seen or heard the instrument before." I had to defend Paul. "What's so strange about that? I bet very few people in this country have seen one." Second sister's lips curled scornfully. "Maybe that's true of your average American, but you'd think somebody like Paul Eng would care more about his Chinese heritage." Lately, second sister has been using the word heritage a lot. I'm not quite sure what she means by our Chinese heritage. Does she mean being as Chinese as possible? But her own instrument is a viola, a Western instrument. Or does she mean clothes? Is that why she likes to wear her cloth jacket with a high collar and buttons down the front? Maybe she means eating Chinese food with chopsticks. But Paul ate Chinese food. The whole Eng family had been eating dim sum in Chinatown just the other day. Listening to the scornful way second sister talked about Paul, I decided it would be a great joke, after all, to get the 2 of them together, like that couple in the movie. My eyes met third sister's, and we nodded to each other. In our family, third sister and I do the dishes, while second sister and eldest brother help Mother with some of the cooking. As third sister scraped the garbage into the disposal, I filled the big pan with hot, sudsy water and began putting the dishes in. The chopsticks I washed by rubbing them against one another. You hold a bunch of them and roll them between your two hands, making a brrr sound. The rubbing makes the chopsticks really clean. Once I even did it in time to music. Eldest brother was practicing a piece, and I added a rhythmic part with the chopsticks. I have a terrible ear for pitch. That is, I'm no good at telling high from low, but I've got pretty good rhythm. Eldest brother enjoyed my chopsticks accompaniment. It was the only time he ever said anything good about my music making. "Shh, not so loud with the chopsticks," whispered third sister. "I think second sister is finished in the pantry. Let's start when she goes up the stairs." I dropped the chopsticks into the pan, and after a minute, third sister winked at me in a signal to begin our act. "Isn't it touching," said third sister in a loud whisper, "the way Paul Eng went up to second sister after her demonstration?" This wasn't the opening line we had planned, but it was a good one. I did my best to play up to it. "Yeah, he must have been really hurt when she didn't say anything friendly back to him." We paused and listened. Second sister's steps paused at the foot of the stairs. Instead of going up to her room to practice, she was stopping to hear more. "Are you sure he likes her?" asked third sister. Now we were using the lines we had rehearsed. "After all, she hasn't been nice to him at all. In fact, she's been awfully mean every time his name comes up." There was no sound from second sister. She must have been listening intently. I risked a short pause and washed a few plates. Then I sighed heavily. Poor Paul. I asked him once about his batting stance. He was very nice to me and explained everything patiently. I paused to wash a couple of rice bowls before continuing. Then he looked at me sort of anxiously. He asked me whether second sister ever went out with boys, on dates. "So that proves he likes her," exclaimed third sister. "What did you tell him?" I had to tell him the truth, I said and sighed again. I told him second sister wouldn't look at a boy who didn't speak Chinese. "Poor Paul," third sister said. The two of us were beginning to repeat ourselves, so we didn't say anything more and went on washing dishes. Besides, we had said enough. Our ears were eagerly cocked, and sure enough, we could hear second sister's steps going slowly up the stairs. They sounded thoughtful. Arranging for Paul to overhear Kim and third sister wasn't easy. The trouble was that neither our family nor the O'Mearas knew the Yangs outside of school. Besides, third sister, Kim, and I went to elementary school, while Paul went to the same high school as eldest brother and second sister. Except at school concerts or baseball games, we just didn't run into the Yangs much. Days passed, and I almost gave up hope. I noticed that second sister sometimes had on a peculiar expression. Her face would be screwed up, like she was trying to get a piece of gristle out from between her teeth. She must have been chewing over our remarks she had overheard. That meant the first part of our scheme was working. But what good did it do if we couldn't carry out the second part? Our chance came at last. It was our spring vacation, and as a treat, Mrs. O'Meara took Kim, third sister, and me to visit the Pacific Science Center. Mrs. O'Meara said she was sick and tired of having kids underfoot all the time. "Jason is acting really strange," she said. "He goes around mooning and bumping into things.